I found this guy, I listened to his podcast, and I paid him like $3,000 or something like that over like 3 hours of lessons. And he gave me a year and a half worth of work to do for SEO. Now I understand it. I hired someone to deploy it. 5 years of trying to figure this darn thing out, and now I know exactly what to do. Imagine the opportunity cost of not figuring it out 5 years ago. Hire experts, pay a little bit of money, figure it out.
This episode is brought to you by the Redline Report by Brandjitsu. What story is your website telling, and how is it telling it? Are you just talking about yourself, or are you connecting with your customers on a more meaningful level? Find out at brandjitsu.com/redline. If you feel so inclined, you can support the show by like, share, and subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcast. Also, you can go to patreon.com/RebelRebelPod. The Rebel Rebel is a show dedicated to creative rebels and entrepreneurs all over the world. It's for those people who think audaciously and act courageously in service of making the world a better and more interesting place. In this episode, you'll meet Robert Brill, founder of Brill Media. We're going to get deep into the highs and lows of entrepreneurship, from the efforts behind scaling operations to the importance of family. Please welcome Robert Brill to the Rebel Rebel Podcast. Welcome to the Rebel Rebel. I'm your host, Michael Dargie. And all the way, we're going to go south this time around the world a couple times, and we're going to land somewhere in California. Please welcome to the show, Robert Brill.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
Robert, thanks so much for being here. So just so that we know where you are geolocated, we don't need to know your street address, pardon me, but where are you in the world?
I'm in Los Angeles in the San Fernando Valley.
Oh, that is so nice.
It's great. It's suburbia. There's a lot of like donut shops and Mexican food places and Central and South American food places, which is so good.
Oh man! And now I'm imagining a short drive to the Pacific Ocean.
So good. Well, it's a long drive. It's like an hour and a half.
Well, it's
with
not
all the
terrible.
ridiculous traffic.
I was saying before we started this that I'm up in Calgary, Alberta, and I'm a short drive to some of the best skiing in the world, like the Rocky Mountains. So, right. And that's an hour and a half. So it's a short drive.
Yeah. That's good.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for making the time today. I'm really excited to have you on the show.
Same here. Thanks for having me.
So why don't we catch people up, and what is Robert Brill doing now? What is this adventure that you're on?
There's kind of like two parallel adventures. Professionally, I've bootstrapped Brill Media to many millions of dollars in advertising revenue annually. And personally, I'm a father and a husband, and we have a 5-year-old boy, which is quite the fun journey.
Oh, man, 5 is such a fun age.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I've got 2 boys. They're much older now. 4 was the age where I was just like, oh, there's that personality.
Yeah, there's a human there.
Yeah. It's like, holy Christmas, that happened.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, so tell us about Brill Media.
Yeah, absolutely. So in 2013, Brill Media got started because I didn't want to have to worry about asking people for time off, or there was this moment where I was working at an agency. So up until that point, I'd worked 10 years in the advertising business. Okay. I worked at an agency. The agency went bankrupt. So I was actually working at a sister company. The main agency went bankrupt. And I was like, oh, I thought I was going to retire from here. That's weird. And
surprise.
And I had the cachet in the business. I was very comfortable with the work. I even worked on a different floor, which was really good because I could routinely walk in late. Not trying to take advantage of the business, but just my sort of like circadian rhythm was, wake up around 8:39, get in the office around 10.
Okay.
And I was trying to run at that time, so I'd go in the morning runs, and just traffic and take forever. So this company ceased to exist. And I was like, oh gosh darn it, I'm gonna have to start all over. And I didn't feel like I could get those jobs in a way that I felt comfortable, because it was a competitive marketplace, and when you get paid a lot of money, not everyone is going to see the value in that. And other companies that were in the marketplace then already had the heads of organizations that I wouldn't easily be able to step into. So I was like, all right, I'm going to start my own agency. Filed for the paperwork, and then quickly, within 3 months, took a full-time job.
What? It's like...
It was exactly like that. What I actually needed, I needed a vacation. Before I should have done any of this, I needed a vacation, but I was so like focused on, okay, I was really worried, it was the scarcity mindset, the scarcity perspective of like, oh man, I can't let I can't let it be that I'm unemployed for too long. I can't let that happen. Like I could never let that happen. So it's like, I got to either do my own thing and work hard on that because I don't have money coming in, or get a job. What I really needed was a vacation. We spent 10 days in Costa Rica. It was great. And then we had an already planned vacation. So we came back to LA, went to see Jay-Z, and then went to, it was crazy. And then flew back down to Buenos Aires and Punta del Este, Uruguay. And we spent basically a month like in La La Land. You know what I mean? God. So I took this job. I didn't like it. It wasn't the right job for me, but it felt safe. And they fired me. Not surprisingly. They fired me at 1 year and 2 months. They should have fired me at like 10 months, realistically. Wow. Because I didn't like the job. It wasn't the right fit. So that's the moment when I really started doing this full time with my business. And it was scary. And there were two things that I learned. One is that there were two things I was trying to not do. I was trying to not sell because I didn't know how to sell. And the second thing was I didn't want to take massive financial risks. So when you do ad buying, you got to spend like $100,000 on ads, and then you get paid 30, 60, 90 days later. So I was like, I don't want to deal with this. I'm going to do something else.
That's a lot.
Anyway, so there was a whole journey there, but that's how I got started.
Holy crap.
Yeah, it was stressful.
Yeah, when did it stop being stressful? How long did that take?
I haven't found that point yet. It's still stressful.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not even. It's not even hyperbolic. It's still stressful.
Oh, okay.
It's just different stress.
Okay.
The stress of hiring the first part timer we had, and then the first full timer. I was like, oh man, that's money that's coming out of my bank account that could be going to my family.
Right.
So now, when we have a 20-person team, that doesn't feel as stressful than as hiring one person. There's just different types of stress. Like when you look at like Elon Musk spending, I don't know, $44 billion to buy X, like that's cool. That's stressful. But I would argue that it was equally as stressful for me to spend money to hire one mid-level full-time person. It's just the relative money is different, but the level of stress remains.
Yeah, and I would suggest that. Man, I don't know Elon, so I can't say this, with any degree of certainty whatsoever. But I would think that it probably wasn't that stressful for him, and certainly not. If you're worried about the next person that you're hiring because they need to make margin for your company in order to afford them to be there, that's real stress.
Right.
Blowing half your net worth, on X seems whimsical, not stressful, but that's just me.
Right.
Elon,
100%.
If you're listening, feel free to correct me because I don't know. I could be wrong. Could be the worst thing you ever did. I don't know.
Might be. Depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, fair enough. So, man, that's cool. I mean, thank you for being open about that. That it's still stressful, but it's a different kind of stress, and it's one of those things that you just continue to learn. Do you think that there's going to be a time in your life when running your own media company is not going to be stressful?
Yes.
Okay. Is that? Do you have a thought when that might be?
I got to talk to my doctor. How much Lexapro do you have? I think understanding the ups balances and buoys the downsides.
Yeah.
Taking stock of the wins makes the tough days feel better. And it's odd, like there are just tough days where nothing actually happens. Nothing bad actually happens.
Yeah.
And they're just tough days. So I think I'm positioning myself to not be in the weeds of the business at all. That's what I'm looking at a 1.5 year time horizon where I'm I'm not integral to any part of the business.
Smart.
And that could either be more stress or less stress. Who knows? But the journey is getting there. Let's see what happens when we get there.
Far out. Let's travel back in time. One of the greatest things about this show is that we do get to time travel. Not all shows get to do this.
That's funny.
We have special dispensation. I'd like to go back in time and explore what young Robert Brill did or was doing when he decided that, I guess, you were employed and you thought that was your forever job. But I would suspect that there is some part of your childhood or early adulthood that maybe suggested that you weren't wired for the status quo. And that's just my guess.
Well, there was a few things. Getting into advertising was... There was a few things. Yeah, I mean, I was trying to do entrepreneur stuff in high school and college. I remember at one point in college, I was like towing the line of like what is ethically like sound, but I was like offering to charge people to make PowerPoint presentations for them.
Oh, sure. Okay.
Right? I was like, I don't think that's ethically a problem, but I also wasn't like promoting it aggressively because I was a little bit worried.
Yeah.
I was in college, tried to sell water at different places to make a profit. It didn't really work. In high school, I was able to aggressively sell the chocolates.
Oh, okay.
In a really fruitful way. Won awards for that and all that stuff. Nice. It was even in college, like I was always like, all right, if I work X amount more harder, I'll have more money. And holy cow, money is the path to accessibility.
Right.
Jay-Z. Go ahead.
Jay-Z tickets.
Well, yeah. I mean, money is a moat. Like money doesn't buy happiness. It just gives you an opportunity to do the things you like to do.
Right.
And it's a form of protection for your time. But at 16, I was just like, oh, more money, that would be good.
Yeah.
What I learned early on is that I really wanted to have jobs that I enjoyed doing. So like I worked at Universal Studios at the Jurassic Cove Cafe, and I really enjoyed that job. And then in college I worked at Cold Stone Creamery. It was fun. It was like being a bartender, but like on Saturday nights you get tips, and you sing and do all these things. Yeah. And
and it's ice cream.
And good ice cream. And I learned that like work doesn't have to be boring. And I learned that work could be challenging in a good way. And sometimes I tried to achieve jobs because I was trying to expand my horizons. Like the Cold Stone job I really wanted because I was like, man, I really want to be able to be more outgoing and be more conversational and be that person, because I wasn't really that person. So like I didn't get it, but I tried out for I went to school at Cal State Northridge, which is relatively close to where I am and where I live now. And I tried out for this orientation play that they it's basically like skits to make sure like you don't drink too much, you don't get in the wrong situation, like all the sort of things you want to teach people when they're just getting into college. I didn't get it, but I've always been trying to like raise my skill set, and that's one of the reasons why I really love this job, because I get to I don't think I would have ever been a chief executive officer of a company. I certainly wouldn't have gotten all the learnings professionally and personally that I've gotten over the last few years. So there's the common trend is I'm always looking for that way to level up.
Awesome. What have you done lately to level up? What sort of, it doesn't have to be like yesterday, but I'm curious, like if you continue that trajectory.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the business, there's a lot of little things and a lot of big things. So the big things is that move to take me out of any operational responsibility whatsoever. And that takes a year and a half, maybe 2 years worth of work. What I've done, I mean, there's all kinds of learnings along the way. Like right now I'm building a course to help people who want to start advertising agencies, for example, learn how to create advertising agencies and be successful and not have to know how to run Facebook ads or do SEO, outsource everything.
Aren't you, let me interrupt for a sec. Aren't you afraid that you're going to lose market share by teaching other people how to do this?
Well, it's actually a business development tool because we're an outsourced ad buying firm. So we partner up with creative shops, and they do the creative work and we do the ad buying.
Love it.
So it's
symbiotic relationship.
It's symbiotic, right? Like I'm going to charge people to give them my knowledge and insight from the past 20 years of career, and help them not make the same mistakes I've made. But also the big opportunity is going to be when they have a $10 or $20 or $100,000 ad campaign that they've sold in that they'll need our help with.
Right. You're basically building your perfect customer.
Creating, 100%.
Awesome.
So getting out of the operational component is one part of it. Starting a course, this will be like the third time I've done a course, but now I have a lot more knowledge and insight, and I've never, I tried very early on in this business to create a course and didn't go anywhere, but it was very different. There's a lot that I've learned since then. So there was a moment in time where we scaled up from, we tripled our staff over a summer, and no one was happy. Well, the first, the first learning there was, number one, I should have hired earlier. So don't be so risk averse. Number two, it was, I was like, why am I working more? I have like a bunch more people. And it took me 6 months to figure out, and with the help of a former colleague, who later came on as our chief operating officer, he was like, you don't have systems and processes. Everything lives in your head. I was like, that's not how it works.
Oh, yeah.
So the most senior person I hired left the business the day that my child was born. That was her last day. And I hired her specifically so that I'd have coverage after my child was born, so I can take paternity leave or something. So what we figured out is we needed a standard operating procedure.
Right.
And people want to do good in their careers. They want to get promoted. They want to know that their employers are happy and that they're just satisfied with the work that they're doing.
Right. They're making a difference in whatever it is that they're doing. Sure.
So SOPs create a system where they know where their job starts and ends.
Yep.
They are happier with their job, so they stay with the business longer. They create the further internal systems. The productivity gets better. Clients are happier. They bring you more business. You start to hire. I don't have to train anyone. The whole system builds that way, and it's a virtuous improvement cycle.
Love it.
So anyway, we've doubled our staff since then and then some. And over that period of time, over the last maybe 3-4 years, I've gotten out of the operational responsibility, because I was like, when I started the business, I was doing literally everything you could do in the business. I was buying the ads, had the relationships with the platforms, I was cashing the check, I was account managing, I was doing the reporting, I was doing the accounting, which actually makes no freaking sense whatsoever. And so as a result, I went from having a team to do that, and I was still in the weeds, to having no operational responsibility whatsoever. None of our clients work with me. I'll get on calls occasionally for bigger things and whatnot, but generally speaking, I'm not in any operational responsibility whatsoever, because I ended up being the bottleneck. I'm always the one. Anytime I'm in operational stuff, I'm the one causing the delay. It's glorious. It's like, how'd you even make it this far? How are you this incapable?
That's interesting. Here's the cool part that I hear, though, is that you recognize it and you adjust for it.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point, right? I want people who are doing better work. I mean, there's only so much I can do as an individual, but when you have 10 people doing the same work, of course, the collective 10 are going to be better if you hire the right people.
For sure.
Yeah.
Wild. Well, so I only asked because I had this recent experience, and this might not be your world anymore, but I have to ask: is Google Ads? Do they make it difficult on purpose to deal with? It used to be back in like when they first came out. Yeah. I could buy an ad block and it worked, and I got return. And I knew the money I put in was going to equate money on the other side. Now, that's not always the case with advertising, but holy crap, like running the simplest campaign ever is the most awful experience. And then I have to talk with an expert, a Google expert, who knows less than I do.
100%.
Okay.
There's complexity, or there's sophistication that's been built into these systems over the years that breeds complexity. That's the issue. There's also laws and restrictions that make, like, for example, we're running an affiliate campaign right now, and our account got disabled, a new account for some tests that we're running for circumventing systems. Now, we're not circumventing systems, because circumventing systems is a pretty bad thing to do, because it basically tells the platform that you've been told not to do this. Yeah. You're starting up a new account and you're doing it again, thinking they won't catch you.
Right.
But that's not what we did. It's just what got triggered. And then we need to verify our information. And now our campaigns are live up today for this one account, for this one test that we're running. And like when you look at like the fact that Mark Zuckerberg testified in front of Congress, I think in 2018 maybe, about the data breach regarding what was the name? Something Analytica.
Yeah.
Anyway, so there are laws that make all these systems far more complicated. Like, for example, if you're running real estate ads, they make it the targeting purposely very broad, because they don't want, Facebook doesn't want to be facilitating illegal actions by discriminating against protected classes.
Okay.
Right. So if you run real estate, you have to declare that you're a special category, and then your targeting options are dramatically limited.
Interesting.
It sounds bad, but what's funny is that broad targeting is generally what we do for our own advertising and what we recommend to our clients anyway, because that's how Meta wants to be used.
Huh.
That's a whole separate issue. But there's, if you get on the bottom floor of anything where you can dedicate, Amazon, I'm sure you're quite familiar with it. Amazon was built off of Google Ads.
Right.
It's easy to run Google Ads.
Yeah.
What's interesting for me is that I didn't know this at the time, because I was like, when that world was happening, I didn't get into Google Ads until much later in my career. To me, it's always felt very commoditized, which is why I didn't focus on it.
Yeah.
But you realize, like, I'm 42 now. If that world were to start again, it's the Wild West, and there's so many benefits to being able to wield power in the Wild West.
Yeah,
like you make your own rules. You can skirt all kinds of systems.
Sure,
you can make a ton of money because everything's underpriced. So, as a more experienced professional, I'm always looking out for those moments where it's like, man, this seems crazy. Like, I should dedicate my time. The only problem is that there's probably a lot of those opportunities, and eventually you'll get run out of time. And 9 out of 10 will be a waste of time, but that 1 out of 10 will actually be the most valuable upside.
Wow.
Anyway,
how it does, and this is, I don't necessarily love this question, but I'm going to ask it anyways. Does AI impact your world of buying, and are algorithms a thing that you can leverage?
There's a few ways. If you're buying ads on Facebook, you're leveraging algorithms, and you're leveraging AI. Just generally speaking, that's just been happening. That's built into Facebook. Yeah. So, like, for example, I don't know if they blatantly talk about this or like talk about this publicly, but my understanding is that they're using artificial data to enhance their algorithm so that the algorithms can make better decisions on their ad buying. So I'm not saying that they're faking the data. Like
sounds like that's exactly what you said.
What I mean to say is the following. when they look at conversion activity, I believe the conversion activity is accurate. I don't think that's faked. What I'm saying is, but to get that conversion, they had to make a determination of who to serve the ad to.
Right.
Who to serve the ad to is going to be based off of existing data plus AI generated data, data that is
for predictive of some sort. Right.
Because a few years ago, when Apple turned off and deprecated cookie data from Apple devices to Facebook and any web advertiser and platform, there was a valley of information that you could cross because you didn't have that connection.
Right.
So big data source like Facebook had the ability to sort of create its own fake data to create a scaffold between the existing data and the future data.
Right. It's aggregate data where
exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a algorithmic. There's a company called Chalice, I believe they're called, and they help advertisers make custom algorithms, and part of their work is going to be using this synthetic data that doesn't exist but is predicted to exist, to be able to make better advertising decisions. So just being as a consumer of advertising services, you are using AI.
Right.
More constructively. Let me give you something that's far more constructive for the average person, because it's not like I created this algorithm or these systems, right? We buy ads on Facebook.
Yeah.
So by default, you're using Facebook algorithms and AI. More practically speaking, at the end of 2023, so this would have been November 2023. I believe it was then that ChatGPT or OpenAI announced the ability to create chat agents,
right?
Where you could program an agent to do stuff for you, and in natural language, you just talk to it like you talk to another human being. So we programmed an agent to understand the best copywriting principles, how the best copywriters in the world then and now write. We programmed it to scan an advertiser's website to understand how an advertiser talks about itself, and to ask a series of questions that will help us understand what the AI needs to understand so it can output good copy. So we use it for copywriting, and we get better results on that than we do on handwritten copywriting in Google search, for example.
Really?
And what that allows us to do is capture more revenue, so the money doesn't go back out to a copywriter. We keep the revenue in-house. We create far more iterations of copy that will still need to be curated by humans, but the whole process is dramatically faster. We can charge far less to clients, so clients get a piece of the benefit there just on cost. So we've been able to retain more revenue just off of that in one little bit of innovation exclusively.
Wow.
Yeah.
Part of me wonders, and this is the altruistic side of me that that fights against the automation of things like copywriting.
Okay.
Because I do think that there's something innately human about it, but I do take the point that if you're feeding we're splattering so much paint against this wall in front of people that not every ad is going to be brilliant. But I'd like to think that the brilliant ads get noticed and they're not generated by computers. But
yeah. I mean, look, I think we don't go to market as a creative shop.
Right.
It's an ancillary service for us. So our clients go to market as creative shops. So they don't get out of bed for, some of them don't get out of bed for anything under 25 grand. And that's just for very minimal production, but a lot of strategy.
Right.
So yeah, don't work with us for creative work.
Okay,
work with us for media buying. If you have $25,000 to $100,000 to put a full-on strategy, understand the consumer insight, look at the transformative value, all that. But if you have $500 to $2,000, we'll help you with that. We'll be effective at that.
I love it. Maybe RebelRebel will send some money your way, and we'll get the power of Brill to.
Let's do it.
Yeah, done. All right, I'm excited.
I got your contract right here.
Oh, look, it's in my inbox. What the hell? Holy crap, Robert, that was fast. Rolling Stones gather no moss. Oh, man. Talk to me about just life as Robert. What do you do for yourself?
I work. I really enjoy working.
Okay.
I really enjoy this work. When my wife wants to like poke at me, she's like, "But you love your work." I'm like, "Yeah, I do. I'm sorry that's a con." It's not a con. She's a we'll have disagreements. She's like, "But you love your work."
Yeah.
And it's my hobby. Like I really enjoy this work. It's the work I choose to do. Like I'm never going to be in market as a real estate expert or as a crypto expert. Right. I'm never going to be the next restaurant concept. I really like advertising. It's fun for me.
Love it.
But outside of work, I like going to Dodgers games. Part of my vision and goal for my life is I want to go to 40 Dodgers games a year with my family. Oh, man. Half season tickets, that type of thing.
American baseball, like I've seen one
American baseball. Yeah.
I saw a Mariners game, like when they first opened Safeco Field.
Yeah.
And like the Kingdome was cool, but the Safeco was ridiculous, and nobody does sports quite like Americans.
We eat our way through it.
Oh man, I was like, I think we were 5 rows up on the third baseline.
Nice.
Oh, it was outstanding, and we had like hot dogs and beer, but yeah. Here's the thing: there was, I think, 50,000 people in the stands. It was a Friday afternoon, and as soon as the game was done, in less time than it takes to talk about it, the entire stadium was empty.
100%.
It's insane. It's just like we're there and we're gone.
100%. Like time to get out, and like ninth inning, especially if your team is losing, like head out early before the parking lot gets full.
Yeah, wild. Oh, that's cool. Sorry, go ahead.
There's a strategy component to the game. Like I think I like watching it. I like seeing what's going on. We have good seats and whatnot, but like there's people that I know, some people I take to games every now and again that are like full into the statistics. They understand the backstory. They understand the medical history of the pitcher, like that type of stuff, which you'd think for how much I talk about my interest in it, like I wouldn't know those things. I just don't have time to focus on that. I my hobby is the work. Like if I'm going to learn statistics about anything, it's going to be my campaign. It's not going to be about, but I enjoy the experience.
Yeah, agreed. That's cool. I love watching baseball live. I don't love watching it on the television.
Yeah.
And I do have friends that are like all about the stats, and they live by the stats, and it's part of the game for them. It's as big a part as the actual game itself, which I think is
that's fascinating.
Kind of cool, but not for me.
Are there any sports that you pay attention to?
Soccer, like like football, proper football.
So, who's your team?
Anybody who's playing. Frankly, I don't have a favorite team.
I dreamt about Lionel Messi last night.
Oh, did you?
I'm a big fan. Yeah. After watching the World Cup,
that was something special. Yeah.
And then I found out like that Mbappe, Messi, and Neymar all played on Paris Saint-Germain on the same team.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah. Look, I got chills.
Yeah.
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 Oh, that's cool. It's nice to have that in common. Talk to me about downtime for you. I mean, now I realize that you're running a business, and I realize that you've got a 5-year-old, and I realize that you've got a wife, but you're also in California. And what does downtime look like for you?
I'm in a dark room watching a movie. All
right.
It sounds horrible.
No, dude, I'm in. What's the movie? What's your
any is a movie or series? I say movie, but I really mean any binge-worthy like sci-fi series. Like right now, I'm watching Constellation on Apple TV.
Oh,
that's really good with Numi Rapace.
Okay.
She's Swedish. But the show is in English. It's really good. The show that I really enjoyed, that I absolutely thought was like blew my mind, is For All Mankind. also on Apple TV.
Really?
It's a sci-fi. It's basically, and I'm not giving anything away because you learn about this in the first like 10 minutes or 20 minutes of the show. It's what happens in like 1960s America when we lose the space race. America loses the space race to the Russians.
Wow.
And it's a really interesting business like take, because the competition really catalyzes both countries to do absolutely amazing things that didn't actually happen in real life, which is kind of sad if you really stop and think about it.
Oh man! All right, that's on my list. Done deal.
So good, and the evolution of the characters is really interesting. The makeup is phenomenal.
Really?
I mean, you're watching characters in their 20s age up into their 60s and 70s, and it 100% like works.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that's really cool. Okay, good stuff. Thank you for the recommendation. Let's say you're walking down the street. You mentioned there's lots of donut shops and Mexican food. Let's say you've decided to take a break, and you're walking down to your favorite. I don't know. Maybe it's a Mexican food truck.
100%. I have a favorite Mexican food truck. It's right down the street. I might have that tonight. 100%.
Wicked. All right. So you're on your way, and you're just sitting there thinking to yourself, what is the most, if you could share one thing with the world, what would that thing be?
Hire experts. Don't be penny rich and pound foolish.
Damn.
I don't know if that's what I'm thinking about. That's not what I'm thinking about when I'm going to get food, because when I'm going to get food, I'm like, okay, I just got to make sure to get all the sauces. That's what I'm thinking about. Don't forget the sauces.
Don't forget the sauces.
Because that makes the meal. But from a business perspective, it's hire experts.
Wow.
Because here's a crazy thing. Like, there's so many business people, so many entrepreneurs that want to offer their expertise and expect people to pay for their expertise, but don't want to actually hire experts to dramatically accelerate their business. And I'll give you an example of that. So we don't offer search engine optimization work. It's ad buying.
Yeah.
So for 5 years, I tried to figure out SEO. And I found this guy. I listened to his podcast, and I paid him like $3,000 or something like that over like 3 hours of lessons. And he gave me a year and a half worth of work to do for SEO. Now I understand it. I hired someone to deploy it. I don't have to think about it. 5 years of trying to figure this darn thing out, and now I know exactly what to do.
Oh my God.
Imagine the opportunity cost of not figuring it out 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Hire experts, pay a little bit of money, figure it out.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's profound.
Thank you. I'll tell my wife, because she use that on my when she's coming at me. Remember, Michael said it's profound.
Profound.
Can I please get a little bit of credit here?
Man, I will send you an email right now.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's profound.
Have it profound. Dargie says. Okay, so a question only because I'm a dad, and there was when my kids were young, one of my favorite things to do was take them to the beach. Now it's a long drive to get to a beach from where I live.
I'm sure, yeah.
So, but there's nothing quite like watching children play in tide pools and explore. What's one of those things that you do? What's a quintessential Robert son dad moment?
We'll go have donuts in the morning on Sundays.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah, he loves it, and he likes to share.
Yeah.
And it's very sweet.
Oh, that's awesome. My kids and I, we used to go to the science center every Sunday. So we'd load up the bike or whatever the cart was the chariot, and we'd go and just spend the day in the science center. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Oh man. So many questions. What's your favorite taco or your favorite sauce? Like what?
Carne asada tacos are usually, and quesadillas are usually my thing. The place down the road, they have There's like different style, like there's different like regions in Mexico, and they all come with their different style of food. I don't know. I know the taste, but I don't know like where stuff is from.
Oh, okay.
So, like there's one. I usually get a torta, and it's like carne asada. It's good like green. There's like two types of green sauce. One's kind of like creamy avocado. Another one is like a little spicier and clear. I don't know. It's good.
Salsa verde and guacamole.
Yeah, it's not guacamole, but it's like, yes, it's close.
Okay.
But it's I wish I knew, like, I'm a foodie and I don't pay attention to, like, I just know, like, the food is that direction and I know it's there from, like, 6 p.m. till 2 a.m.
Amazing.
I have no idea what type of food it is.
Do you know the name of the food truck?
I could probably find it.
You don't have to. I was just curious. If it's just there, but we could give them a shout out or put a link down in the show notes.
I don't really. Let me actually not do that because I don't want everyone to know where I live because it's like 2 blocks away from where I live.
Yeah, then never mind.
Oh,
smoke
sorry.
bomb. Yeah.
And unless you're like right in the neighborhood, you're not gonna go to it.
Man, that's cool.
And I advocate for it everywhere I go in the neighborhood.
Really?
Yeah,
You're like
tell people all the time.
Oh man. Yeah. I don't want to know. Offline, you'll tell me.
Okay.
Because then I can go at some point and get tacos. What's the one thing that you haven't done yet that you plan on doing in your life?
I haven't gone to Japan. Haven't gone to Africa. Haven't been to China, mainland China. I've been to Hong Kong.
Yeah. Haven't
done a tour of all the baseball stadiums with my family, or at least my child.
Yeah.
Wife may not want to go to all of them. I haven't exited my business. I don't plan on really exiting my business, but exiting usually means like selling. So I don't necessarily want to sell the business, but I want to exit the operational. I want to be the chairman. The goal is to be the chairman of the business.
Right. Awesome.
It's my money. I've got to pay attention to the bank account, and I've got to like ensure that the financial health of the business is good. But we have a CEO. We have people who are running the business. We have a predictable, repeatable, and scalable business growth plan, which we're close to, but we're just not 100% on that yet. But
that's exciting. You mentioned a lot of Asian countries. Is there a particular draw there, or just because?
Japan is like living in the year 3000. It sounds like.
Yeah.
So I want to go there. China, I mean, when we went to Hong Kong, it's that thing where it's like I want to push myself.
Right.
Like I think that's a constant through line in my life. Personally, I wanted to push myself when I was a kid, not like with sports. Although I did join the football team for 2 weeks. I had no business. I was like, this is ridiculous. I'm going to get hurt. In high school.
Good to know.
Yeah. But like always pushing myself. Like I want to go outside my comfort zone. And that's why I started. That's one of the reasons I started this business. That's one of the reasons why my wife and I, when we were dating, took a 3-week trip. Hong Kong, Hanoi, Vietnam, Singapore. We should have stayed longer in Singapore. And then Bali for like a week.
Oh my God!
Just because it was like far away and exotic. So let's do the same with different parts of Africa. Let's do the same with China and Japan. I'd like to go to Russia, but it seems kind of dangerous. But
a little dangerous right now. A friend of ours rode his motorcycle from Ireland to Russia, and
that's cool.
Yeah. Then shipped his bike back. I sold it for him, and he decided to live in St. Petersburg.
I hear St. Petersburg is absolutely magnificent with the Hermannstadt. No, that's not right. The big palace that's like gold inside. I don't remember what it's called.
Yeah, and I don't know either, but it's like it is dripping with culture. And
yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Like I'm not like I know very little about international politics, although I pay attention to the news. But my opinions are not informed. But it seems to me like St. Petersburg could easily be part of like Europe. It's a European city.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what our friend was saying too. It's like he loves the Russian people and he loves St. Petersburg.
Yeah.
And it's his favorite place in the world. And he decided to
really?
Yeah.
And is he still living there, you said?
Yeah. Yeah, he's
Wow.
like literally just sold everything and just moved to St. Petersburg.
That's nuts.
Yeah. This was a couple of years ago before things got super crazy over there. But yeah, isn't that something? Yeah, not for me. Yeah, but
Yeah, I'm cool. Los Angeles is where it's at for me.
Totally. One of my favorite parts of this show, for anybody who's listened, already knows what I'm going to ask. But there's these people in the world. We call them rebels in waiting. And it could be somebody who's about to start their own thing. Maybe they're in a business that they don't love, or they're about to get fired after a year and 2 months, and they realize that it should have happened at 10 months.
Like, if you're listening, you know you deserve it.
Yeah. So what advice would you give to those people? Whether it's their new thing or an old thing, and they just want to do it differently.
Oh, there's a lot, and we can't wrap up on this. That's a whole other episode. Look, I think
come on back.
I think Napoleon Hill has this phrase, burning desire. You've got to have a burning desire. So you need to figure out if you have a burning desire. That job that I took that I didn't like was me chickening out of actually following the business. And the entire year was me feeling regret over not pursuing the business. I felt like I missed out because I saw other people trying to do this. The sort of curation and cultivation of just the gearing up to start took like 2 years. So I'm not saying, and this was so I started the business in late 2013, so it would have been like 2011, 2012 when I really started to gear up based on what I was hearing, what people were telling me, what I was paying attention to. It is now easier than ever to be successful as your own, as an entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, as a freelancer. There's so many things, and I'll just list them. Number one, have a vision. What do you want to actually accomplish? Understand why you're doing it. And the best entrepreneurs have a chip on their shoulder, and they're freaking lazy. They have a chip on their shoulder because they're trying to prove something.
Yeah.
I was trying to prove something to myself, to other people, to the ancestry. Yeah. I was trying to prove, like, am I this person? Because I think I'm this person. Am I actually this person? So you want something. You want the people that are a little bit weird. The people who are a little bit weird are gonna like be successful, or they're psychopaths, and then that's problematic. And if you're a sociopath, that could be a problem. Right? You don't want to be bad. You want to be a good human being.
Yeah.
But with a chip on your shoulder, something to prove to someone. That's good, I think. And you want to figure out the easiest path to live your life sustainably. And sustainably can be a lot of things. Sustainably can be, I'm not satisfied until I have a $100 million business. Or sustainably can be, I'm going to 40 Dodgers games and I'm paying an arm and a leg for really good half-season tickets to the Dodgers.
Right.
Whatever that is for you. So you got to have your why. You've got to have that reason. You've got to know yourself. And frankly, there are a lot of people who are going to be great number twos and number threes. Just because everyone is trying to be an entrepreneur and that's cool or whatever, that doesn't mean it's good for you. You've got to know yourself. Like the person who was our chief operating officer, he went on to have a massive job at Spotify. Now he's at Wandery. He's a podcaster. He's a talent. He's a creative talent and a really good business person. You've got to know yourself and understand that you can do anything in this world that you want to, but you've got to have the patience. And it's going to take you 5 times as long, and it's going to cost 5 times as much, and it'll be 5 times more challenging than you think it will be. So if you have the drive and the burning desire to succeed, and you're willing to give all that up and deal with that anxiety and that frustration and the risk, then go for it.
Damn. Feels like a mic drop moment. Robert, holy shit. That was great.
Thanks.
Thank you. You know what? I would like to end there. That is an exclamation mark on this episode, and I'd like to invite you back in the future to continue the conversation because this has been exceptional.
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Robert.
Thanks, Michael.
Thank you so much for listening. I've been your host, Michael Dargie, and this has been the RebelRebel Podcast. It's a podcast for creative rebels and entrepreneurs all over the world. And hey, if you're a rebel or you know a rebel, why don't you head on over to the RebelRebelPodcast.com and fill out our guest request form. We'll get back to you within 24 hours, and maybe we can share your story with the world. Don't forget to like, share, or subscribe wherever you get your favorite podcasts. And thanks so much for listening. Until next time.